story of who we are and a collection of all the things we love.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for coming back and seeing me and Desi today. Did you have a good week? I had such a fun week. It was Halloween and I got to go trick-or-treating with my grandchildren, my daughter-in-law and her mom. Her mom is so much fun. And my grandchildren look so adorable in their costumes, but we got this huge snowstorm. It was like 37 degrees, snow coming down, and the wind is blowing, but we had a great time anyway. What I want to talk about today is, can a woman feel safe if she lives alone? Can a woman feel safe if she's not married? This all started when one of you lovely gals went back to a video I did 9 years ago, and I'm writing a letter to my mom who had passed away, and I was giving her an update on my progress. I was going through a divorce. I was really hurting and trying to sort things out, and that would go on for a couple years in front of the camera. And there comes a part in the video where I've made a breakthrough, and I forgot all about this. And I say, "Dear Mom, I realize now that I didn't have to be married to feel safe." And that hit me like a ton of bricks. And I realized that that's something that not only I thought about and tried to work through, but it's something that you write me about a lot. Do you feel safe? How can you feel safe if you're not married, or if you're going through a divorce, or if you've lived alone for 20 years and maybe your health isn't what it used to be? How do you feel safe? And that's what I want to talk about today.
Not feeling safe can protect us from too much body weight, a bad relationship, or a bad financial deal. But not feeling safe can also hold us back from daring to have a bigger and better and happier life, because we're just too afraid to take that first step.
Feeling safe means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. For me, feeling safe means I'm out of harm's way, psychologically, physically, financially. If I don't feel my world is going to collapse tomorrow, I feel pretty safe. And feeling safe is something that's always been so important to me, but it's always been so elusive. So that's my definition of feeling safe, that I'm confident that the world that I'm living in, my life, is stable and free from harm. What is your first memory of feeling safe? And the reason I know the answer to this question is because I use this memory to fall asleep at night if I feel anxious. And it's a car ride with my grandfather. When I was very young, first grade, I got in trouble at grade school. And I got in a bad scrape with a couple boys. I beat them at marbles, and so they just beat me up and took all my beautiful marbles. And I was crying, and the teacher called home. My mom wasn't there, but my grandfather was. So he came and picked me up in his beautiful Buick LeSabre, 1964. And I got in and I was crying and pretty disheveled. And I told my grandfather I'd lost all those beautiful marbles that he had given me. And he told me that I wasn't allowed to play with those at school, but I did anyway. I thought, not only did I get beat up at school, but now my grandpa's going to be mad at me. And so I'm in his car and I'm crying. And he doesn't say anything. He doesn't say a word to me. And I start crying and he says, "Come here." And I laid my head on his knee while he was driving. And we kept driving and driving. And I thought, oh boy, where are we going? he took me to a little department store on Plainfield called Arlen's. I don't know if that's a local chain, or maybe you heard of Arlen's way back in the 60s. But he took me in there, combed my hair, took me in there and bought me a hat and a little dress. And I came back out to the car and I got in with my new little treasures. And he still never said much. Just a little pat on the shoulder. It started to rain so hard. And I remember I started to get really sleepy. I felt happy and I felt safe. I've never, ever been able to duplicate that ride home in the rain with my grandfather with my new dress. Even though he didn't say, "You're going to be all right, I love you," I knew that he did. And I wanted that ride home to go on forever. And to this day, I love to hear that sound of the rain. And I think of that wonderful car ride with Gramps.
Dizzy, is that your favorite spot to sleep? I think so. What do you want to do today? You want to go for a walk? I think you do. Give me 5 if you do. All right. Very good.
What is the most vibrant memory I have of feeling unsafe as a woman? Well, I've got a few doozies, and I bet you do too. The one that comes to mind right now is when my husband filed for divorce. And I was blindsided. And he stopped by a few days later after I had been served the papers, and I looked at him and I said, "Are you saying that you don't live here anymore?" And he said, "Yeah, that's right. I don't live here anymore." And I said, "Well, what will I do without you? I love you. How am I going to pay for the house?" And he said, "I don't know, but I have to go." I remember the room started spinning, and I had a hard time catching my breath. And he was with a couple friends, and they were hauling out some furniture. I couldn't breathe. I went in the bathroom, I shut the door, and I just tried to breathe. I was in the eye of a hurricane. I remember, not long after that, I wrote a song called "Free." And in that song, I'm talking about feeling jealous of the moon, of the sun, of water, a river, because all those things symbolized freedom to me. And I didn't feel free. I felt trapped. I felt trapped in this terror that I had of how am I going to make it as a woman alone without a husband? How am I going to do this? I've been married all my life. What am I going to do? I'm 57 years old. What am I going to do? I love to read surveys that women do when they're over 60. And when they ask women what makes them feel unsafe, one of the answers that they gave a lot was money. They don't feel they make enough money, or they don't feel they've saved enough money. And it makes them feel terribly vulnerable and unsafe. And I remember that feeling. Right after my divorce, I had nothing. I had a tiny little apartment, and I wrote down everything I spent, and I tried so hard to save money, but I was so scared. But the more I wrote down everything I spent, like how they tell you to do that when you're on a diet, write down everything you eat. Well, I wrote down everything I spent, and that really helped me. And to this day, I still do that every single night. I'll say, well, it's time I have to do my money. And I write down everything on a little worksheet that I have. I think when you're a woman alone, there's always that element of feeling just a tad unsafe when it comes to money. But I think there's a much bigger issue than that. And that is having faith that you will do the right thing when it comes to money. And you are going to be safe and you are going to be protected. But that comes from within. And that takes a little bit of work, doesn't it?
I find it so peaceful to abandon my artificial flowers and just have the dried flowers in my home from my garden. I cherish that now.
Time and time again, I hear from some of you every week. And your fear is that your husband is going to pass away, or you're going through a divorce, or you're alone. And you've been alone for a long time and you feel unsafe. And I think long and hard about that. And I think about, how did I feel when I was married compared to how I feel now? Did I feel safer when I was married than right now? Well, I've been married 3 times, so I should be an expert at answering this question. My very first marriage, well, that was just a blur. It was a marriage of, we had to get married, and we were very young. I was only 18 years old, so did that make me feel safe that I got married? No, it didn't. It didn't at all make me feel safe. It made me feel scared. I was just so young. When I was 23, I got married for the second time. I had been living with Eddie for a year. He was successful. He was a wonderful father to my son. He was a wonderful father to me. But on our wedding day, did I feel safe? I felt happy, but I sure didn't feel safe. Again, I felt scared. Could I be a good wife to him? Would his mother approve of our marriage? Could I navigate the life that I wanted to have with my commitment and my vows to him? I did not feel safe. So marriage number 3 to Billy. Did Billy make me feel safe? On my wedding day to Bill, I was so happy. I don't think I've ever felt that happy except maybe the day my children were born. I was happy. Did I feel safe? You know what? I didn't even think about, did I feel safe when I married Bill? Because I knew I made him feel safe. He needed to feel safe. He was hurt and he was troubled. And I thought, with enough love, I could heal him. I could make him whole again. That the demons that he was fighting would all fall away because I could make him feel safe. And then that almost made me feel safe. But it didn't work. And he walked out when I stopped being able to make him feel safe. And I won't ever forget that lesson. Marriage did not make me feel safe, and it took me a lifetime to realize my folly in thinking that. Well, this year I moved out of my beloved city. I bought my first house, a house that has my name on it only. I have my own mortgage. I have my own lawn to cut. I have a boiler to watch. I've taken on a lot. And you would think oh my goodness, that I feel very vulnerable. You know, is my money going to last? Am I going to like my new city? Are things going to work out? Is the house going to be more expensive than I planned? Blah, 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 right? Do I feel safe? Yeah. I may be alone. I may not be married. I may not have a boyfriend. I've got Desi. Do I feel safe? Yes, I do feel safe. And why do I feel safe? Because safe isn't something that somebody else can make you feel. Safe is what you feel inside. Safe is knowing and trusting that you will always do the right thing when it comes to your money, when it comes to your body, when it comes to how you live your life every day. Feeling safe is trusting in yourself to do the right thing, to make sure that you always put yourself first. Because if you don't put yourself first, nobody else will. And you can't be a blessing to anybody else if you're down for the count. So you need to take care of yourself, and you need to find it within yourself to feel safe that no matter what catastrophe happens, you're gonna be okay. Because all those times that you worried in the last 60 years that something horrible was gonna happen, you got through it, didn't you? And things worked out, didn't they? Yeah. It really is true. Feeling safe isn't a home. It's not a person. It's not even a doggy. Feeling safe is having faith that everything is going to be okay because you are in control and you are the captain of your ship.
Feeling safe is within your control. You can handle anything life throws at you. Why? Because you always have. Women are so good at making others feel safe. How about turning that confidence inward?
Hey everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. I like doing this video. It made me realize a lot of things that maybe I didn't realize before. If you get a chance down below, could you share something that maybe made you feel safe as a woman or perhaps unsafe? Please have yourself a happy, safe, brand new week. And when you're done with your week, please come back and see me and Desi, okay? All right, it's a deal. We'll be here.
I have to make some dramatic changes in my life to be fulfilled. But Mom, I feel safe. I didn't need to be married to feel safe. But you gave me the gift of love and music, and that makes each step I take sweeter than the last. I'm so sorry, Mom, it took so long for me to see the woman you were. But I want you to know, you inspire me every single day.